Good morning. I want to start off the interview by asking you to introduce yourself as well as give us a little bit about your job history. Tell us what career you're in right now and how did you choose that particular career.
Sure, absolutely. So my name is Darryl Sicker. I work at a company called UDT. We're a full technology service provider. We do a lot of work actually for Miami-Dade County schools. So some of the kids may have seen some of our computers in the schools. At UDT, I focus on the cloud. So you hear a lot about the cloud, and we can talk a little bit about what that means. But I'm one of the engineers that works a lot on cloud. And I got into technology a little over 20 years ago. It actually wasn't my first job out of college. I did some other stuff, but I really kind of kept on gravitating more and more toward technology based on what I was doing at work. And I think the important thing is you need to follow your passion and do what you really like to do, because if you can follow your passion and be happy with what you do, you're going to be good at it. And so what I found out was that I really like technology, and there were some challenges. I had to go to some advanced education, but I kind of was determined and I had a goal, and I actually would work during the day and go to night classes to learn a little bit more about technology. And luckily, I was able to kind of get into technology over 20 years ago, and I've been doing it ever since.
Sounds good. Okay, so I know a lot of people are working from home right now, so I bet your job has picked up a lot with the cloud, with companies moving to the cloud. I know Junior Achievement ourselves, we're even moving to a
Yeah,
cloud-based storage.
you are.
So yeah. So our next question is, what does a day-to-day list of events look like in your particular career?
Sure. So, one of the things that I like about what I do in technology is that no 2 days are ever the same. And so, really, what I do, and so when you look at a technology perspective, it's kind of interesting. So, you can be internal IT, meaning you work for a company or you work for the Miami-Dade County schools, and then you kind of support that company or you support that school. I actually am more client facing, meaning so I actually service those types of customers. And so what I do is if a customer says, or Miami-Dade County schools, which are doing that today, they're moving more and more toward the cloud, and the students are using things like Office 365, and even how we're doing this interview right now via Zoom, that's all cloud based. And so what I do is I meet with customers, and really what we call it is pre-sales. And one of my job roles is to be what they call a solution architect. So it's pretty exciting because I go in and I meet with all these different schools, or I meet with different businesses, and I learn a little bit about what they do from a business perspective, what's important to them, because we always say it's business that drives technology, not the other way around. And so we learn a little bit about what their business is and what they're looking to accomplish. And then we actually help them design and architect it. And so that's a lot of what I do, and it's fun, and there's a lot of different solutions, and it's challenging because I always have to stay up to speed on all the different technologies that are happening all the time, because things change every day.
Definitely. So in your career, can definitely be considered a lifelong learner. You don't just go to college and learn what you need to learn, and then that's the end of it. You're continuing to have to go to class and go to take courses to continue to improve at your particular craft.
100%. So I would say that to students, if you're interested in technology, it is going to be a lifelong learning process. So you're absolutely right, Adam. So you don't just step into a job and say, okay, this is kind of what I know, and then do that for the rest of your career. What I do today as a cloud solution manager didn't even exist when I first started my job in technology over 20 years ago. So if somebody would have said to me, hey, there's the cloud, I wouldn't have even known what it was. So as recently really as 10 years ago, the industry that I'm in within technology was just in its kind of baby stages. So every day, every single day in technology, you have to be learning and keeping up. And if not, you're going to fall behind. So if you're interested in this type of career, you're always going to be learning, going back to school, doing continuing education, taking more classes, even taking tests for certifications. I have to take tests all the time, so 100%.
Great advice. Which brings me to my next question. This program is geared toward eighth grade students. So I
Hmm.
want you to go back to when Darryl was in eighth grade. What did you want to be when you were in eighth grade? And does that in any way connect to the career that you have now?
Well, what do so many boys want to be when they're in eighth grade? So I wanted to be a professional football player. So that one didn't work out. And I love to fly. So I also thought about maybe being a pilot. And those are some of my thoughts. What wasn't in my mind at the time of eighth grade was technology. And you kind of have to go back to the dinosaur ages when I was in eighth grade, and so much of what we see today from a technology perspective didn't really exist. So it's a little bit hard to kind of imagine what was going to be there today for opportunities. And I would say for kids, especially those that are interested in technology, understand that what you're interested in today will probably continue to evolve. And maybe when you're an adult and you're working and you're in technology and it's really exciting and it's really challenging and new things pop up all the time, there's a good chance that you're going to be working in technology that doesn't even exist today and that we can't even imagine.
That is so true. Which brings me down to my next question. I want you to think back to the first real job you ever had, and what that job was, and tell me one thing that you took away from that job, whether it be positive or negative.
Sure. So absolutely. So kind of the first real job I had. So a little bit of a diverse background. I was actually working with a company that was helping for trade, for international trade, and helping companies that were based in the United States actually take their products and then trade them to foreign countries. And what I learned from that is in that job, I talked about following your passion. And when I was doing that job, I was in a completely different role, but more and more I started filling the vacuum of technology. And I realized when I was doing the technology piece that I was really happy. And that's what made me understand and realize that it was really going to be technology that I wanted to pursue, and which caused me to go back at night and study technology so that I could do that as a profession. So my first job was not actually in technology itself, but what it taught me was that that's what I really like to do. So my advice to kids would be that when they're in their jobs and their careers, it's a bit of a journey, and you may evolve and you may change, and what you're doing on day one may not actually be what you end up doing in your career 10 or 20 years down the line. And if you do choose technology, there's a good chance that even within that field, what you're doing is going to shift and change as well. So I think what that first job taught me was that you have to understand that you're always going to have to learn. You're always going to have to continue to study. You're always going to have to keep your eyes out for what really makes you happy. And you have to work for that goal because no one's necessarily going to give it to you, but it's up to you to go out and get it and grab it.
Amazing advice. So now I know you talked about going back to school at night in order to get where you are. I want to focus on your education path. Take us on a journey of the degrees you received or any certifications that you needed in order to hold the job title that you have now.
Yeah, so that's really good question. So I went to college. And when I was in college, I did not major in technology. So I actually majored in political science. So when I talked about trade, so I learned a lot about foreign countries, and I was an exchange student. I was very interested in that. Um, and so following that, I actually went to law school. So I became a lawyer, and that's what kind of got me into international trade. But what's interesting, and this is what I say about technology, is you would say, okay, you're a lawyer. Well, where's the connection to technology? There is no connection, right? But when I said I went back to school at night to learn about technology, guess what my first job in technology was? It was at a law firm, because what they said was, wow, you have this really unique background of being an attorney that also understands technology. So we're going to give you the opportunity to be able to work in a law firm doing technology. I probably wouldn't have been able to get that job to break into technology if I wasn't a lawyer. And then I spent about the first 15 of my years of my career following that actually working for a technology services firm that serviced law firms. So it just shows you that your background, it may not necessarily make sense initially, but again, I keep on coming back to follow your passion and what you really like. And if you do, it'll find you. And that's what gave me by going to law school and learning law and then learning technology, gave me the ability to be able to get into technology and focus in those certain areas.
Okay, Cool. So now we're going to go back and talk to eighth grade Darryl one more time. If you can give eighth grade Darryl any advice, what would that advice be?
That you're always going to have to study and it's never going to stop. So I would say that number one. So I used to think, and I didn't always love school like everybody else, but I used to think all I have to do is kind of get through high school and then I was going to be done. But the truth is, then I went to college, and once school is done, there's so many careers that really cause you to always have to learn. And the other thing that I really learned that was important, I think, was that communication skills are so important. And people say that, but it's true. So you could be sitting in English class and you're writing a boring essay about something. You say, well, why do I have to do this? It makes no sense. And I completely understand that. What I realized today in a job is that being able to write concisely and properly for customers and for other people at your job or whatever it might be is so important. And when you're meeting with people, being able to communicate is so important. So I would say communication skills are very important.
Definitely, definitely are. And which brings me to our final question of the interview. I want to put you in the mindset that there's an eighth grade student who is looking at this video and he wants to hold your particular career. He wants to go into the same field that you're in. What kind of advice can you give him in order to guide him down to this particular career path?
Absolutely. So I would say absolutely look at focusing on some technology solutions. And so as you get into college, if you go to college, absolutely start looking at majoring in more of those technology type majors, because it'll give you a very good background, and get it started as early as you can on your own about things nowadays with the internet. If you're interested in technology, you can do that stuff on your own and make it fun. So go out there. If you like to learn how to code, go ahead and get on the internet and learn how to code. Just silly things like taking typing classes online and learning how to type. All that stuff really helps. So that would be my advice. And just understand that, again, if you are going to follow through on technology, that chances are things are always going to change. So just know that you like technology and you like being flexible, and that during the course of your career, you may have to switch on what you focus on.
Darryl, I thank you so much. You gave us some great information with this interview. I thank you for participating with our Junior Achievement Inspire event. You have a great day.
Thank you. I appreciate it.